Hello YouTube for the first time. I am Savannah Coleman. I'm from the blog Unbreakable. I am the ship of knowledge .wordpress.com. So if you want more content like what I'm creating here, check out that blog. If you're from the blog, thanks for coming and checking out my foyer, or girl, I don't even know, whatever it's called, my into the creative space of video making. So I'm just trying this out because I have this magical thing. It's a Kindle that is teaching me about creativity. And I mean, it's not the Kindle, it's the book I'm reading on the Kindle. And it's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. So the reason why I even started reading this was because I saw The Skim. If you're not informed, get you
Self-informed, look up The Skim, they're amazing, they send you a skim.
Of all the news in the world, and it's not just like the big headlines. I feel like you actually learn something. It's one way I try to stay connected if I'm not reading an actual article, but you should still read an actual article. Stay analyzed, people. Anyway, my PSA for the day. Anyway, this Skim had a cool little Instagram that they were doing where celebrities were talking about their favorite books and books that they're reading currently because of the whole quarantine situation. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, Marie Kondo, I love her. That's what I was saying. If you don't know that, now you do. Her book recommendation was Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's a book I already had my eyes on, that I had seen other people recommend. It was on some bestseller list. It was on like Goodreads list. It was on one of my friends on Goodreads. So I'm just really excited to read it. I'm about halfway through, so I feel like I can talk about some of the quotes from there. And that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so let's get into it. A little note on how I'm going to structure this. I have all my highlights up, and I think I'm going to try to talk about every highlight I have from this book so far because I love it so much and I really want to encourage people to actually read it. I mean, I think these are the pithy parts for me, but maybe something else is something that you need to hear that you would have highlighted that I didn't. So I highly encourage you to buy the book, support people's art, people. I'm going to go through all the highlights and then I'll try to give some kind of anecdote or why I found that important, or basically just summarize what that section, like what I got from it. So let's get to it. So my first highlight is from page 3. It's from the chapter Hidden Treasure. Okay. I really just love the way she writes as well. It makes me want to keep flipping the page. Her style just, I feel like, wrapped in it. But that's me. I just personally really like it. Anyway, yes. It's a devotional practice as an act of love, as a lifelong commitment to the search for grace and transcendence. I think this is probably a very good way to become a poet. Oh, sorry. So I kind of cut out the part before, which is monks. So like as a monk, you commit your life to the religion, and as an artist, you want to commit your life to always pursuing creative endeavors. And I have more highlights that I think elucidate that and that I can speak to more, but that quote kind of just stands on its own. So let's look at. So this one is from page 10, and it's the an amplified existence. This one says, lovely adolescence, when the talented are officially shunted off from the herd, thus putting the total burden of society's creative dreams on the thin shoulders of a few select souls, while condemning everyone else to live a more commonplace, inspiration-free existence. What a system. That just really got to me. A little fact about me is that I went to school for education, so I just found that very poignant and also very true, and a problem that a lot of teachers do try to talk about, how we can foster creativity while being in the system that does want to kind of separate and track students based on their abilities and education and those kind of topics. But I think that's also a very good point from like what her whole chapter is trying to say, is that maybe that's not the way we want to be going. If we really want to enjoy our lives, then we have to be willing to make bad art, and we don't need someone else's approval, like a system or a school, to say, oh, that's bad art, so don't do it anymore. And we can say it's bad art and I'm going to continue doing it because it makes me happy. I'm enjoying this so much, you guys. Okay, so this is her analogy, which I love. It's calling fear this kind of person you're taking along on your creative field trip. Her talking to fear, and she has like a whole thing, but I just highlighted part of it, and like she just starts out, dearest fear, talking about the creativity and everything. And this is the part I highlighted. Apparently your job is to induce complete panic whenever I'm about to do anything interesting. May I say, you are superb at your job, so by all means, keep doing your job if you feel you must. But I will also be doing my job on this road trip, which is to work hard and stay focused. And creativity will be doing its job, which is to remain stimulating and inspiring. There's plenty of room in this vehicle for all of us, so make yourself at home. She's not saying fear to take over, but she is acknowledging that it's going to be there. And she's also kind of talking herself away from just going into fear by being cognizant and aware that it's there. She can control the fear, knowing that it's there, and if it pokes its head up, then she can be like, hey, I talked to you. I'm still going to do this. My creativity and my drive is more important. So I really like that analogy of the field trip. 72. It says, oh, I wrote, the summary is, don't get pinned by your own work. Don't be behind your own boulder. If you do a good job on something, don't get caught up in that. She has like a little excerpt about the To Kill a Mockingbird author, Arthur, that she probably had a lot of creative talents and could have published a lot more, but she only published one thing, and you can only really speculate as. And she says, and any other creator, famous or obscure, who ever vanished beneath the shadow of their own real or imagined reputation, I wish somebody had told them all to go fill up a bunch of pages with blah 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 and just publish it, for heaven's sake. Ignore the outcome. So I think that's so important, and that's another reason, again, why I'm here. Just do it. I'm just doing it. I'm trying out this creative format. You know, some people connect better with video than with writing. So, I mean, I think I'm doing something here. At least I enjoy it, and I'd rather spread joy and positivity about what I'm doing, and maybe that means something to somebody else. That would be great, but it's something that I enjoy, and I'm just going to keep doing it, my blah blah blah, and see what comes of it. And she also is very clear that the creative life doesn't have to just be art or writing. It can be your work, your career, science, and these kind of things. Just whatever you're enjoying. And I can see where Marie Kondo might have liked this book when she says something sparks joy, like tidying. That's not something maybe people think of as creative, but just thinking of a life that's joy filled, which is kind of like my blog, Unbreakable. All right, so the next quote is page 128. The point is, from that quote, it says, it means I am not exclusively chained to the grind of mere survival. It means we still have enough space left in our civilization for the luxuries of imagination and beauty and emotion, and even total frivolousness. So she kind of really embraces this idea of, you know, art can be frivolous, and it can be this like lowbrow or soap opera, whatever that people generally say are, well, people like whoever is setting the art standards, air quotes used. Anyway, we shouldn't be held to those kind of standards, because that's not really what art is about. It can be frivolous, it can be serious, it can be helpful, but we shouldn't go about thinking that it is just serious, because that's what is beautiful about art. It is not like our other daily habits we have to do to survive. It is something that we add to that. Okay, it's about originality and authenticity, and I found that one especially interesting because that's one of my holdbacks from creating, is that I'm thinking, well, I don't think I'm totally original. Like, I know someone else has probably had that thought before. Don't worry, she talks about that way at the beginning of the book. But anyway, spoiler alert, someone probably has had that thought before. But she said authenticity is more important. She wrote, attempts at originality, and this is page 97. Attempts at originality can often feel forced and precious. I was going to say precocious, maybe both. But authenticity has quite quiet resonance that never fails to stir me. That authenticity is what is our human emotions connecting to each other, so that makes sense. And originality, well, you know, if it's not authentic as well, then no matter how cool or different it is from all the other things you've seen, it's not going to mean anything to you. I mean, maybe it'll stick with you because then you might think about it for your own art. And when you incorporate it into your own art, maybe you'll make it more authentic. But just being original, that's not enough. And that was really cool because I hadn't really thought of it that way. And yeah, I kind of think out loud. So I was just thinking out loud that originality can be a disconnect, actually. So I found that helpful. Strive for authenticity. Be you. As corny as that sounds, it's still true. It always is true. Alright, 2 more highlights. So 125, page 125, she calls this chapter Funhouse Mirrors. And basically is talking about how your art, you cannot control how it is interpreted, how it is added to, how it is hated, how it is loved. You have no control of your art once it leaves your hands. And that's a really scary thought to me because I just want to put out positive energy into the world, and I want to consciously just share things that I think add to that. Not in a way of being inauthentic, but just in a way of being conscious of how my words and my feelings can impact other people, and sharing that authenticity, but making sure how I frame it is positive. So, but people can still interpret it a different way, even if you're very clear about how your work is supposed to be interpreted, say all the right things, it can still be interpreted in a different way. So this is, she had like a whole little anecdote, and this was the highlight I highlighted. Once my book entered her hands, after all, everything about it belonged to her and never again to me. Your art now becomes someone else's art. You've put it out there to share with other people, to let it become a part of their lives and part of their, whatever you hope it to be, positivity or whatever. But it's their life and their frame of reference, their lens, their experiences on top of whatever you gave them. You can't control the many, many things they associate with the words that you put on that paper in the order that you put it in. It may just be the wrong thing for somebody. That's totally okay. You have enjoyed this video. I hope that maybe I'll create some more content, and I might see you again. Join me on Breakable Blog if you want to. Hit subscribe, hit the little bell thing. I might actually do this, but I'm committed to being an artist, so I'll definitely be here. But whether you like it or not, I cannot control. But I hope you join me anyway. Bye!